put a finger down if you were reflecting on the last day of you being 24 and you had been journaling for the past half an hour, and all of a sudden the crow right above you was perching on its branch and it pooped on your left shoulder. Okay, I don't even think you can see it. My like sleeve is kind of wet because I went to the restroom just right before recording this, and I was like, it was so funny too. I was literally like pondering. I was like, what is it gonna be like when I'm 25? There's so many things to reflect on. And then I just heard splat, and then I was like, oh, cool. You said goodbye 24. Say hello to 25. I've never been pooped on before, human or not. And so I guess that was just a first for me, you know? But anyways, yeah, today is March 22nd, 2026, and I want to begin documenting my growth and my journey in this coming year. I'm 25, honestly sounds pretty gnarly, not gonna lie. A lot of people always say, you know, mid-quarter life crisis. Mid-quarter? Quarter life crisis? There's no mid-quarter. It's just straight up quarter life crisis. And it's definitely hitting. You know, people say, oh, your frontal lobe is going to develop at 25 and all of these changes. And I like to think that I do romanticize my life, and every year that brings a new chapter for me, you know. And yeah, being 24 this year had so many changes, right? So many new experiences. I traveled a lot. I saw my friends a lot. Had a lot of silly, goofy fun. I released my first album, which is amazing. I've met so many new people-ish in some ways, or rekindled old friendships, things like that. I took up, you know, like different hobbies. I've been building my skill set more. I had my first solo trip. And I've really been into my spiritual spiritual bag in some ways. And I started and completed The Artist Way, which I feel as though is just beautiful. And I will always be a broken record and tell everyone to do The Artist Way sometime in their life. Now, one of the reasons why I do want to start documenting my journey is because, well, just like everyone and their moms, I have taken a lot of inspiration from Doechii, and just seeing how she's been able to, you know, collect all of these moments and checkpoints and progress throughout her 10 plus years of her own journey, personal life-wise and artist-wise, that really inspired me to do the same way, you know. And it's beautiful to kind of see where she is now. And of course, a lot of other artists do this as well. A lot of other creatives do this as well. And I, you know, of course, wanted to hop on the bandwagon in my own little way. Something about me is that I make bingo sheets for myself every single year. And I've done this for the last 3 years. I am currently drafting up my 4th year, turning 25, and what I want to do. And that was part of what I have been reflecting on in my journal entry this fine day right here. 2 main things that I do want to talk about today is, 1, the changes that I want to make for this coming year's bingo sheet, and the continues, which is what I want to continue that I have been doing in the last couple of years for my bingo sheets. Now, the first one, which is the changes, is that at 24 this last year, a lot of my bingo sheet goals were more about continuous progress and consistency, because I wanted to be a little bit more disciplined with how I tackled certain goals, right? So for instance, one of my goals would be like take a 30-minute walk 3 times a week, or read 1 book a month, or just things like that, right? And while those were good, you know, maybe mindsets to have, for me personally, I realized throughout this year, I wasn't able to actually accomplish these goals because they didn't feel as tangible as I wanted them to be. And that being It was hard to maybe, record every single time I took a walk in 1 week. And sometimes I would feel a lot of pressure when I felt short of that deadline or that goal of that week or of that month. And I realize I don't fare very well with things like that, right? And I've realized in previous years before being 24, my goals were a little bit more like one and done. So very much like bucket list items, right? Like you achieve something, you do something, you move on from that. Awesome. And while I did have some of those goals, that wasn't my focus when I was 24. So I really wanted to pivot back into what I did in the last 2 years before that. So now at 25, my bingo sheet would consist of more things that are very much one solid concrete goal that I want to focus my energy on. So for instance, let's say instead of reading 1 book a month, I want to read 5 books in a year or 10 books in a year. So maybe for 1 month or for a couple of weeks, couple of days, I find books or I get really into reading. So then I can, read through 2-3 books in 1 month, versus, sometimes when work gets busy, I'm not able to read as much, right? So those are some things where I'm like, okay, I think I want to change a little bit, see what didn't work this last year, and then make an improvement from that. Now, that's not to say that I don't have other goals this year that are still about consistency and continuous, effort. So, for instance, I think instead of let's say taking a walk 3 times a week, I realized I don't like taking walks. So it was really hard for me to get started on that, or just really forcing myself to take. I do like walks actually. I just don't like saying that I need to take a walk at this certain time throughout this week. So instead, I like to exercise. I really loved getting into boxing this last year and a half. So what I told myself is that I'm going to work out 10 times a month. So again, instead of saying working out 3 times a week, it's 10 times a month. Maybe there are some weeks that I do have more free time in my schedule. So then I can maybe work out 3 times or 4 times in that week. Maybe there's 1 week where I'm traveling for work or I'm sick or, XYZ, can't really work out. So I'm giving myself some more flexibility in terms of the consistency that I am putting forth, if that makes sense. That was my change. So I reflected, that was my change, right? What I want to continue, that I have been continuing for the last couple of years in terms of the goals that I set for myself, is that actually, I kind of forgot what I wanted to say, so I'm going to reference my notebook because I wrote this down. Oh, yes, holistic goals. So something that I am really happy about doing, and I think I have been getting more and more intentional every year, is the fact that I am trying to focus on my growth as a whole. So instead of maybe having, let's say, 20 goals just all about music, I want to say, no, I actually want to work on all aspects of myself, right? So yes, I want to do 5 goals on music. I want to do 5 goals on physical health. I want to do 5 goals on spiritual health. I want to do 5 goals on personal life. I think that for me has worked really well because I think it's very important to work on all the little, slices of your pie of life of pie, right? So that's what I want to continue. This time around, I'm going to try to be a little bit more whimsical. I don't know what that necessarily means, but I know this is so simple, but one of my goals that I want to do this year is to buy a pretty dress. That's it. I just want to buy a pretty dress. I'm very picky about dresses, about feminine clothing. I think it's really hard for me to find something that I feel confident, look good in. So I was like, you know what? Let me buy a pretty dress. Let me bake a loaf of sourdough bread because my roommate makes a lot of bakery goods and she's really good at making things like that. So I was like, you know what? Let me take advantage. Let me make a loaf of bread. Let me channel my inner Peta, And so I think that's something that I want to definitely continue. So hopefully I get to do these things, inshallah. But yeah, so those are my two main things. One, to change and do more one and done bucket list items. Number two, continue on my holistic growth. And so that's my bingo sheet portion. Let's continue talking a little bit about just reflecting on this last year at 24. Vlogging has always been something that I wanted to start, but it's always hard. It's difficult to do so, right? It's kind of awkward. You're like staring at the camera, you're kind of talking, you're like, hey everyone, welcome to my channel. And it's kind of weird, but I'm telling myself, like, truly, I started making more content, just short form content on TikTok, and a lot of the times I talk and I maybe do story times, I tell a joke, just talk about whatever is on my mind. And I realized that the more you do something, you definitely do get more comfortable with it. And I realized that, you know what, I can't be comfortable in front of the camera. Like, I can do this. So I definitely want to do more long form content, and just really showcase, again, as I referenced earlier, more of myself as a person. Who is Cam behind cams? Aside from the fact that there's a letter Z at the end, there's still a lot more, right? And I'm not always going to be Cams, but I'm always going to be Cam. And I want to document who Cam is now, who Cam wants to be, and how can Cam be in the very future, and look back on this 5-10 years later. I'm really grateful, seriously. Just this last year at 24, I, opened up earlier. Like, I did a lot of new things. I dropped an album, I saw friends, I traveled. But more importantly, something that I never really was intentional about until really this year was, like, truly sitting down and working on myself and working on who I am and who I want to be and where I want to go from here. Again, love The Artist Way by Julie Cameron, shout out. And I really started getting back into my spirituality and back into my religious side. And something about myself is that I just went through religious trauma, as people do. And for a lot of my life growing up, I felt like an imposter. I felt like I wasn't good enough to be Muslim. That I felt like I could not be in the Muslim community because of my intersectionality, of my queerness, of me not looking Muslim, in certain spaces. And I realized these were just all excuses, right? I always knew inside that I do want to tap into this side of me, and religion is so important to me. And I was like, why am I holding myself back? Why am I hiding a part of myself that I so yearn for? And I got tired of it. I got tired of making excuses, and I began just opening myself up, like truly just like starting ground zero. Okay, let me get back into consistent prayer. Let me read more about Islam and read more about my religion on my own terms. And it finally felt like, for the first time in my life, I was discovering my spiritual side and my religion for myself. And that has been such a beautiful blessing. And I truly thank God every day for helping me return back to this path. And of course, there are times when you're going to fall off the beaten path. There are times when it's hard to have hope in this world, this political state, with so much going on and so much suffering going on. But it is so important, especially during these times, to have hope and to believe in humanity and have faith in it. And that has really helped me kind of guide me in terms of, okay, now that I'm trying to get back into that spiritual side and learning more about myself, what can I do in this life, and also to prepare for the afterlife. So it's been a journey. It's still going to be a journey for me, right? I am far from perfect. I am far from where I want to be in all the facets of my life, in my spiritual side, in my creative side, in my personal side, or my romantic side, my career side, whatever it is, you know. But it almost feels like I finally found a compass, and I was like, oh, this is the direction I want to go. You know, this is the path that I want to take. And I have been lost for a couple of years. You know, post-grad life was hard. It was difficult because I was so used to structure. I was so used to waking up, doing things, going to class, working part-time jobs, blah, 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 you know, having club meetings. And then it was like the moment I got out of the school system, it was like, dude, what do I do with my life? What do I do after 5 p.m., after that 9 to 5, you know? What do I do with my free time? And what is this all for? And so just being able to find that, finally find that compass and that roadmap for me has been everything. It has changed everything in my life. And truly, I cannot, I just cannot believe that I am the person that I am today versus the person that I was 1 year ago, March 22nd, 2025. It is such a drastic change. And, you know, I got out of a 2-year relationship that I thought that was gonna be the long run, not gonna lie. And, you know, life is what it is. And I'm, as much as I, you know, might make jokes or, you know, say certain things, truly, I don't harbor real ill feelings towards people that are not in my life anymore. Yes, I do get frustrated sometimes, I get upset sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's how can I not forgive people and expect forgiveness from others, or mercy from others, or grace from others, right? And for me, it's people do me wrong, I do people wrong. We're all human, right? As my friend Cole once said, you know, or actually he says it many times, but, you know, we are all villains in some person's story. We really are. And I'm not proud of some of the things that I've done in the past, many of the things that I've done in the past. And, you know, there's a lot of things I wish I could correct, but I can't. And so I have to learn, I have to move forward from there. And so now it's all about, okay, Cam, wake up. You know, get up and just start going forward, man. One of the crux of my own self-growth that I'm stopping myself from growing is always looking back, always regretting, always, you know, wishing for a life that I once had, wishing for a feeling that I once had. And it's dude, no, man. You know, appreciate what I once had, the people that I maybe once have had, and the feelings and the dynamics, and then move on. It's okay. Truly, I have really just internalized that saying where it's you know, whatever's meant for you won't miss you. And I gotta remind myself every single day. It's my lock screen too. Whatever is meant for you will not miss you. And so whatever is meant for me, whether it's a people, the path, my, you know, artistic journey, accomplishments, whatever is meant for me won't miss me. And that's all I have to say. All right. Anyways, nice talking. Thanks for watching.